What's up, folks? Sorry about that. A little late, a little technical difficulties. Also, a little bit of an echo. But I got gadgets. I got buttons. May screw this up a few times when we get started. There's a shadow over your shoulder, too. I just now
Over
noticed.
mine?
Yeah. It's right there.
Oh, yeah.
Right there. For the first time.
That's okay.
It's all good.
That's cool.
That's okay.
Cole's with us in spirit, right? About
It's kind of creepy, Cole.
there.
Enjoy vacation. Get out of here.
Enjoy vacation. Get out of here. Out of here. He'll be back next week. And next week's week 0. Week 0, boys. Football will be officially back next Saturday. So we'll get to that a little bit next week with the games. But let's get into this thing a little bit. I don't really like that echo.
Yeah, I feel like we got to do something that's going to just shatter the quality of the audio, is it not?
It will for the live, but they'll get it out for the actual show on YouTube. But yeah, that's not going to be good. I don't know how to do that.
I mean,
You have to connect it.
How would you connect it without a remote? You know what I mean? Unless it pops up on our computer.
But it won't.
But it won't because it's not connected to the internet. Anywho.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But like I said, welcome back, everybody. This week, there's some big news going on. Golf news, especially that we'll talk about. That'll be in our first segment here. Kind of recap a little bit of what happened in those preseason games. Lackluster performances, good performances, maybe some coaching decisions that you thought are like play calls that you liked or didn't like, or if it was too vanilla for you, Steve. I don't know. And then that second segment here, we're going to jump into our college stuff, College Coaches Corner. We're going to talk about Heisman. What are some things to look for? Obviously, as we know, a lot of times Heisman is almost a best quarterback race, as what we've seen in recent memory. But there's some people that could sneak in from some other positions. Steve gave us a little bit of a insight there, so we'll jump into that. As far as that, we will make some picks. Who do we like out of maybe some of those front runners? Who do we like out of some of those dogs that are like plus 10,000? Maybe a little bit further down the board, and maybe some futures picks, our futures bets that we have. You know, who's going to win the national title, whatever it might be. Then the last segment here, we're going to go into our NFL Coaches Corner. Maybe, Steve, I'm not 100% sure what you want to jump into on that one. Maybe some big plays that you noticed, some kind of a little bit more of a extended recap almost at that NFL Coaches Corner. And then we'll get into some picks. We'll look at some of those week 3 preseason games, 3 of 4, I should say. I don't know why they
dumb.
I don't know why they considered the Hall of Fame game
Make
week
that
1.
week 0.
They made it
Be
week
smart.
1 of the preseason. So if you go online, it says week 1 of 4, 3 of 4, 2, you know. So this is week 3 of 4 of the preseason. And then we'll look into some futures bets as well in the NFL. Maybe it's yards, touchdowns for a running back, throwing yards for a quarterback, wins for a team that we like. I know there's a lot of, we kind of went through and dove through our own teams if we like the over or the under based off of the win totals that they gave us initially.
Oh, yeah.
And then we can look at some promo bets, some different stuff. Steve, you popped up a pretty cool one, right?
Yeah.
Futures
there's
bet.
There's a nice little
bet.
futures
Yeah.
promo on FanDuel right now.
It's pretty solid, actually. I looked into it afterwards.
Tough to do a big parlay this week.
Preseason big parlay?
I'm down.
It's going to be tough.
I mean,
But
We could do a futures parlay.
futures parlay?
Futures parlay.
Yeah.
What?
Stack division winners or stack.
Well, I mean, that'll probably that's a good idea. Because during our recap, we'll go over kind of what we picked. Maybe we just pick a couple of them from that we all goon locked on anyway.
That's true. We could absolutely do that.
All right, we'll get there. All right. News.
We digress.
As per usual.
News. Let's start with.
Let's just start with golf. Get it over with.
Yeah, that's
because we don't.
I mean, that works.
I mean, like, it's not going to be very long because there's not much details. But some of you know that the BMW is being played this week, and some of you know that this live thing's been around. And the top tier PGA players met when they were across seas and at the JP Morgan something Scottish Open or something like that. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to speak about the changes that the PGA should instill to enhance the game, make it more modern, clearly driven by live and what's going on there. Well, I don't want to call it an emergency meeting, but the fact is the top tier players for the PGA are playing this week. Obviously, it'd be in the playoffs. And they called an in-person meeting to the top tier dogs. Big news was that is Tiger flew in. Tiger flew in his jet.
Basically leading the meeting.
Leading the meeting, got in, got off the plane, and they're not telling us exact times they're meeting, but he landed 2 hours ago. I'm assuming they're meeting relatively now-ish over some dinner. And so the whole agenda behind it was what the players want to change or see changed to modernize the game in different mechanisms to not only pay them correctly or more, I don't know how you want to label that, but also change the game in terms of, okay, do we do more team events? Do we do other things? And so you're seeing the biggest step forward now from the PGA players that is now going to come out at some point, pushing the PGA to adapt, which I'm happy for. I'm happy for the whole thing to be adapted to. So
yeah, I mean, I 100% agree there. I think it was time for the PGA to adapt. They needed to. The reason that people are staying on the PGA Tour or we're going to the PGA Tour is because of their tradition, of the tradition is the best way to describe
prestige.
it. Yeah, the prestige of it, what it is, the legacy behind it, the
prestige,
true meaning of winning on the PGA Tour. That's why people are staying there. But at the same time, they understand if you're going to have a product that's going to last against some of these other things, you're going to have to adapt. Now, is the live going to take the PGA Tour out? No. But it doesn't need to adapt, yes.
Absolutely. Thoughts from the not as much golf fan?
I think the live is going to take the PGA Tour out. They got more money. It's all that matters.
That's like taking the NFL out.
Yeah, but nobody has more money.
Wait, yet.
That's what I'm saying.
Let the Saudis get the golf done, and then they come
Saudis
after.
Are going to come after the USFL or the XFL, and I bet pretty rapidly that they'll take out the NFL or they'll buy out the NFL. They do what they want.
They do what they want.
They do. But yeah, I think that the money is going to be hard to compete with, especially if they're able to play in majors and like live will adapt their schedule to make it feasible for them to do that.
If they can play, if they get to major status, it's over for the PGA.
They already did, didn't they?
No. They can't play majors.
I thought Phil played in at least one major.
No, they allowed him to play.
That he wasn't committed.
In the Open. They allowed him to play in the British Open.
I'm pretty. I swear that
they did.
Poulter played.
Yeah, but he hadn't played in the live.
Yeah, he had.
Oh, he got an exemption. There was only like 3 that got an exemption.
It was a bunch of the Europeans.
The Augusta hasn't said anything. The PGA Championship hasn't either. So
if all of the top golfers in the world are there, with the exception of like dudes that are washed, like Tiger and some of those cats, like they're gonna make an exception because who wants to watch mid-tier golfers play for a major championship?
Yeah, but that's I think ultimately if this meeting. They say the players come up, and it's not going to be one meeting. It's going to be obviously we all know how this will work. If they come up with a strategy that fits the top basically 30 right now on the PGA, and they present it to the PGA, and they don't like it or don't instill it fully, then you'll see more of that top 30 go, and then it snowball from there, in my opinion. And I think all the power's in the PGA players' hands right now because the PGA has to be feeling it. At this point, clearly they have because they've shifted for next season, etc. But if you have your top 30 players and even Tiger can't hold it all together, it's over to a degree, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I just like how you said Tiger's washed.
If there's
He's not washed. He only has 1.5 legs.
That's what I'm saying. Though.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm just
that's
sitting
washed.
here. I'm just sitting here thinking, like, if
We need
if
Charlie.
they can't, if the PGA Tour can't figure out a way to basically stop the Live from being able to get world rankings, even FedEx Cup, like, because right now they can stop them from the FedEx Cup rankings. But if as soon as they are able to get world rankings and stuff like that,
It's
then
over.
it's just
Unless the majors got together and they put the iron fist down and said no. But I don't foresee them doing that per se. But that would be the last, that's the last line of defense.
That's at some point too, like President's Cups, Ryder Cups, all those things. If those guys stick together a little bit, then the PGA Tour does have a little bit more leverage, just because they're like, okay, if you play on that Live Tour, like you're not playing in these, and
that's
those
the
are
current
big
leverage.
events. But at the same time,
I don't know.
it's a few events.
I don't know.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Oh, I
It's
don't mean
all
I
that
don't
matters.
disagree. I don't disagree there, but it is a XFL, NFL situation where they're starting to adopt some of those things from these other leagues.
Yeah. I think it's
And they're gonna grow.
interesting, but I think it's just one of those things where it's like until the money is the same, people are going to keep
I
departing.
don't even think it has to be the same. I think they just need. I think they need to put in which we'll find out more, but more money. Yes, I don't think it has to be on the same level. Personally,
Yeah, I don't know that it has to be on the same level. I just think that there needs to be
for the top tier guys, of course.
Yeah.
If it's
You know what I
a
mean?
young guy or something like that, if you're offering a kid out of college a guarantee, they're going to take that guarantee.
Right.
So
I bet that's on the table.
that's like
that has to be on the table.
Was that Oklahoma State kid?
Yeah.
Chikara, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy got offered money right away, and he's like, "Well, okay, you're telling me that I can still golf professionally against other pros, and I can get a guaranteed salary or stipend, and I can grow that still if I start winning these events. If my team wins these events, it's not just all on my shoulders." That's pretty attractive to a young guy that he's like, well, I don't know how I'm going to compete against Dustin Johnson. I don't know how I'm going to compete against Rory McIlroy or any of those guys. But if he's got 3 or 4 other guys on his team that he can be like, oh, okay, well, this guy scored low today. I went low today. Hey, we can combine these. Takes a little bit of pressure off their shoulders and lets them have fun in golf.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Are you pulling up the next part, Kadio? The AP, the big part of the news.
I don't know that I can without that computer.
What are you looking to pull
I
up?
don't know. Let me try it.
I don't think I can't.
No, I let me try. I think I can try it with it.
The only other way is if I went directly in from my computer. If I went directly in from my computer to one of the angles.
But I think I can do it from here. We're gonna try this thing out. If I don't push the wrong buttons. Don't push that button. Whatever you do, don't push 4. All right.
Camera 4 is the TV. Now you can push 4.
It
It was sleeping.
sleeping. Those sleepy Bo beepers. Shout out Rob Younger for half of the things I say. All right, you guys can lead into it while I attempt to find out how to get to it.
Yeah, so
Top 5. Alabama number 1. Ohio State number 2. Georgia 3. Clemson 4. Notre Dame number 5.
how many times in the last couple years, obviously it's been, Alabama is pretty much a staple in those.
Alabama.
But how many times in the past couple years has your defending national champ not been first or second in those polls?
Probably pretty few times. I think a lot has to do with the defense. There are a lot
that's
of
weird.
key factors defensively that
Scrolls
are.
backwards.
It's a Mac. That's why.
I hate Max, and this is why.
He's gonna
Is there
become
an actual-
accustomed.
If you go-
There's 2 links. One is to the poll. One is to the article about the poll. Wow.
So there's a
that's-
poll right there.
Yeah, never mind.
Is
This
that
is
it though?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
it's 100%.
It's not cool looking.
This was just last year's records that they have up to the right here.
Yeah.
If I push that button, what's this one do? Ah, much gooder.
There you go.
Much gooder. All right.
Yeah.
So what does that say? 70 points? Is that what separates Alabama and Ohio State?
60 points.
60.
1,566
60,
to
this one said.
1506. I think the biggest difference there is that
I was in the right.
Alabama got 54 first place votes and Ohio State got 6.
What stands out the most to you?
The fact that everybody had Texas in their playoff at the end of the year and Texas isn't in the top 25.
Who's everybody?
There's a ton of people that were
Not
saying
me.
Texas.
That's a dumb idea.
I mean, Texas is the second behind Oklahoma to win from an odds perspective. Now, that doesn't, speak to anything realistic, but I'm just like, there's some notion within the public that people believe in Texas this year. Obviously, sports writers.
So looking at it from a standpoint, what's tough for me to look at, I go all the way down to 22. I like Wake Forest, and I liked Sam Hartman, who was their quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But he got hurt. He's out this year.
Oh, he's out for the year? When did that happen?
So.
I didn't see that.
Let me pull it up here because I'm a big believer in Wake Forest with him.
The most disappointing thing for me is Texas A&M is not ranked in the top 4, which they should be. They're better than Clemson. They're better than Notre Dame.
So Wake Forest star quarterback
that
will be out indefinitely
right.
due to a non-football related medical condition. So I don't. Results of subsequent testing have forced his indefinite leave from the team.
That's unfortunate.
Rough.
So
QB1
he gone.
alumnus there. Anybody QB1 fans?
Yeah, he's one of the only ones that went to a worse school though. Like everybody transferred into really good schools to be better, and he transferred to a worse school from where he was to stick with his coach, I believe.
It happens.
Oh, you're talking about at the high school level.
Yeah. Yep.
Utah, high for you guys?
Pac-12 champs.
I don't know. I think the highs.
The Georgia one gets me just because I'm just used to 90s and 2000s where if you're defending champion, you're just number one to go into the next season, like almost without.
How often do two teams from the same conference play for the national championship game, though?
Also true.
And I think that Alabama returns more from a national championship team than from a national runner-up than Georgia did from a national championship team.
Can you scroll down a little bit?
I don't like Ohio State at
2.
2.
I don't think so either.
And so like for me, teams that are, I guess like I don't think Ohio State will exit the top 25 at any point in the year. I don't think Clemson or Notre Dame will exit the top 25 at any point in the year. But
I don't think Michigan will end in the top 10.
I don't think Michigan will end in the top 10. I think Baylor could be a surprise team. They play in a ton of close games. They have great defense.
Right.
And so if you're talking about those outside teams to jump into the top 5, I think that they would be one that could jump in very easily with a couple of big wins.
Can we also state the fact that preseason rankings mean like nothing?
Right.
I mean, we just had to say that, right?
Wolfpack number 13.
Can we just say that they're trash? Wolfpack at 13.
Yeah. I think it's their highest preseason ranking ever.
For real?
If I remember correctly.
And they're going to end in the playoff, baby.
Outside of that, I don't really have any. There's not any crazy surprises to me.
I mean, so here is one surprise, and a lot of people are going to say maybe bad against it but I don't know. I'd have to look to see who, like Minnesota lost or Iowa lost.
Iowa's being dumb. They're going to start Petri dish again.
Yeah, but those are teams that finished better than Wisconsin.
What's the alternative for them?
And Wisconsin's 18th.
Like
for them to not be in the top 25. I'm not saying that they need to be high, but for them to not be in the top 25 is kind of surprising.
I don't think so. This top 25 is pretty set in stone from.
I don't think Wisconsin's an 18th ranked team in the nation.
Oh yeah.
To start the year, like that's what I'm saying.
People love
they love
the quarterback from Kansas City,
Yeah.
freshman. I can't remember his name right now.
And that's what my point to on Ohio State. I mean,
Graham, maybe?
I believe Ohio State being at 2 is more quarterback driven than.
Yeah, I mean,
basically
Stroud is
anything
the
else.
favorite to win the Heisman.
So-
and
I mean,
so,
you got
He's gonna
Ryan
have to
Day,
get
who has lost what four games in his tenure there.
yeah.
Like, and he had, I mean,
I just think they're the obvious team to lose one game that they shouldn't lose and be
You're not wrong.
knocked out of that.
That
Like
spot, yeah.
that's Ohio State going
Yeah.
even
They
back
will
with
always lose
Urban
one.
Meyer, they tended to do that from time to time.
So-
And they get
I'll
hot
tell
later,
you
win
the
the Big
reason.
Ten.
The reason that I knew about Sam Hartman is because I went immediately to North Carolina State's schedule,
Nice.
and I was like, well, that just makes that game a little bit easier for them.
Yeah, it certainly does. Sam Hartman was, I don't think he's the most talented guy in the world, but he has a lot of
He's a gamer, he's a winner.
intangible, things that he brings to the table for that team. So
100%, and he
I would
he
be
won.
surprised if they're very successful this year without him.
Right. He was kind of, is he Jake Fromm-esque?
Jake Fromm, as in the quarterback from Georgia.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, so you look at Jake Fromm, and he was, in a sense, a little bit like Sam. I mean, he won games, right?
Yeah.
But was he ever the most talented person? Like, he was
No.
never pushing for a Heisman. Was he maybe in the Heisman talks every once in a while? Like, yeah, Sam Hartman's been in Heisman talks for having a decent year, or maybe low Heisman talks. But
Yeah.
that's where my comparison kind of brings me to him. Could he be a lower round pick? Maybe.
I think that Fromm is more, and maybe Fromm at a lower tier school would be that like grittier guy that kind of brings his team along.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like Fromm was the guy that was driving the success of Georgia.
Right,
that
that makes
makes
sense.
sense.
That does
So-
make sense. I'm saying like talent wise, different stuff like that. Like I feel like if you put Sam Hartman on that Georgia team, he'll be successful too.
I think he might be more successful, is my point.
Right.
Like I think he has some intangibles that Fromm didn't necessarily have. So
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
Any quick things on the FCS poll right here, Steve? You got anything? Any shockers to you?
the FCS poll.
Yeah.
No, I mean you've got the traditional powerhouses.
This one?
Mercer is, I mean, they've made significant
They have.
investments in their program, and I think that they're good. I think the teams that you see, if you go back up to the top 10, the surprises in there are things that people wouldn't necessarily expect to see in there. Would be like Sac State and Missouri State, but Missouri State has improved significantly
They have.
since Petrino took over. And so they've been doing really well, and so they're good. And then you're staring at basically the Big Sky, the MVC,
As always.
and that's just what it is.
It is what it
Like
is,
there are
yeah.
a few other teams that are in there, but it's Big Sky and MVC.
Yeah.
I mean, look at NDSU.
I just look at this and I
some-
think bracket busters come March.
They are that. They're also
But-
bracket busters in the playoffs for
Right.
FCS. Like each of those conferences is just runs through a buzzsaw.
Oh, not to mention, usually one or two of them beat an FBS team every season
But if
when
you
they were
scroll-
playing as much.
What's on the right there?
Division 2.
Is it
We don't,
okay?
We don't talk about division.
Well, I didn't know. So what I wasn't
Only
even
because I have no clue. I know Northwest Missouri State, Ferris State, Voldesta, School of Mines, Grand Valley. The rest get a little.
No, the only reason that I was looking at is
Oh,
because I
Kearney.
saw AP and then Coaches Poll, and I was like, okay, is this like a AP poll, Coaches Poll thing? It's like,
Oh, Drake didn't get a vote. That's too bad. Davidson did though.
Davidson's sick. They're running a
Wildcats,
gun
baby.
triple option.
Are they?
Yeah, and they're doing really well.
They still
They're-
running their 3-3 stack too.
No.
Oh God, that
No.
was awful.
Is Austin Peay an Iowa school?
No, they're Tennessee. I believe.
Tennessee.
What's South Dakota getting a little love too? Okay.
I mean, look, if you look at that, like South Dakota, Harvard, Princeton, that's interesting. A bunch of Ivy League schools in there.
Oh yeah, always clumped together there.
You got
And
North Dakota as another.
Yep.
Oh, Utah Tech got one. That's surprising.
Yeah,
two.
that one's a little
Old Dixie State.
the old really.
Yeah, that Dixie State changed their name. I don't.
Dixie State's way better sounding. All right. Well, this is it. This is the AP top 25. We'll review this. We don't do it every week. But if we see some major changes or things, we'll highlight it. But it really doesn't matter until we get later in the season when things get really, really
So
tense.
currently 3 out of our goon locks in the playoffs are 1, 2, 3.
My playoffs are right here.
Your playoffs are the top 4.
Yeah. So
you're
Talk
doomed.
about going chalk.
You're doomed.
Talk about going chalk, Steve.
Chalky.
and Clemson's gonna fall out. So I mean, we all know what's gonna happen.
Clemson. Yeah.
All right. So let's take a little 2-minuter, and we'll be back to continue on, boys. Continue on. What was it? What'd you time that one at, Steve? Okay. Okay. I mean, the news was light. It was a lot. There's not really much been going on. Heisman. I just wait till they give me deposit bonuses and some free bets. I go win, take some out.
Did you get signed up on MGM? That MGM?
Did I do MGM?
There. So from a deposit, like bonus perspective or deposit match, they offer me the most for when I go. Because I go away pretty frequently. Like I draw down my accounts every single day to a zero balance, and they are the most frequent ones to offer me like most recently they offered me $100 deposit match or a 25% deposit match up to $100. So I could deposit 400 and get 100 from them. And so I played a UFC promo over the weekend with that and won $340.
What app was that again for the
BetMGM?
BetMGM.
I don't know what their
No, I
intro
haven't-
promo
what'd
is
you
right
bet?
now.
I haven't signed up
What'd
for
you
it.
bet in the UFC?
It was a 3-leg parlay. Vera to win, one other win, and one to go to a decision. I can't remember the other two fights, honestly. They were pretty heavy favorites, I believe. So
For sure.
I think I'm going to play some Contender Series bets tonight.
We are back.
Bo Nickel fighting tonight.
I don't know.
Remember when Steve said he was waiting until football? He didn't.
I want to bet more for enjoyment than just like from an EV perspective, you just end up grinding out bets like constantly because the idea is that the more you bet, the more you win because your margin is small.
Right.
And so I want to bet more fun stuff so I enjoy it because like baseball recently has just felt like a grind. And so that's why I took and still am kind of taking a break. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm not.
You're picking and choosing.
I'm playing maybe once every 3 or 4 days.
You're moving from a more of a this is a business type thing to things I want to enjoy, and usually means bigger risks. I would assume.
At times, yeah. At times, like I would have probably never played a plus 340.
You guys,
100 or with $100, but
I got to get back to
that was fun.
Sending you guys these, and we probably should back to doing it, but this was a fun one. I went super homer on Friday, and because the Braves and the Falcons rarely play on the same days.
Nice.
Like rarely play, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? And PSG was playing too. Right? You know how much money we made on PSG last year? So I went Braves money line, Padres money line because they're playing the Nats. That was an easy. So I got the Braves at minus 140 against the Marlins, Padres minus 255, or the Padres 255 against the Nationals. And then I went Falcons over Lions plus 100 on a preseason game. And then PSG was a minus 1,000 because, well, it's PSG. Hit that bad boy. It was plus 425.
Nice.
But that was a nice homer one, and I forgot about it.
Those are the best bets when you forget about them.
The Lions go up late in a Falcons game, which I'm used to, them losing the lead. And then they scored, and I'm like losing my mind. And I'm like, why do I feel like I'm not? Like, why is this a preseason game and I care? And I went, oh, shit, I forgot. And, we hit. So, a little homer.
Yeah, I think some of the funnest times I had betting last year.
Most fun.
Nope. The more funnerest. Most funnerest times.
Most
funnerest times that I had was during March Madness, during conference tournaments.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like mid-major schools. I was just hammering live bets. I'd be like, okay, hit another live bet, hit another live bet, hit another live bet. And I would just keep feeding, and I'd win like $150 off of a game. And then I'd live bet. Like I think my cap was I would let a team get down by 8. I would, if they were the team that I bet in the beginning, I would keep putting money on them as long as they were within 8. All of a sudden, boom, I just won a ton of money.
So you haven't done much live betting, though, have you, Steve?
I haven't done hardly any live betting. During March
day
Madness,
trading online.
during March Madness, I did a lot of random betting. Like, I was all over the place. Like,
that was when you were fresh, right? Like, that was basically it.
Yeah. I had no idea what I was doing. Still don't really.
My buddy who was drinking bamboo this weekend, his girlfriend, who was the 16 seed that beat everybody this year?
St. Peter's.
Yeah. So she took St. Peter's like 2 or 3 games, like made like $250 off of them just randomly because she was just like, oh yeah, I'll take the underdog. I'll take these guys. And I think that's what it was. It's like, I'll take these guys. I like these guys better. I'll take these. Their colors are cooler. Their mascot's cuter. I think she literally said their mascot's cuter or something like that.
They're the peacocks.
By the way, that's usually whose brackets end up being the best anyway.
Oh, yeah.
And it has nothing to do with basketball.
Like who would win in a fight? A tiger? Who would win in a fight? A tiger or a peacock? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to
peacock for sure. But we digress. All right, little college focus here. Kind of a big deal. Some people may or may not have heard of the Heisman before.
Yeah.
But kind of a big deal. So, Steve, this is more your segment because I know 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah. So, from an odds perspective, the Heisman right now is for all purposes, a quarterback race.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's Stroud is the favorite from Ohio State, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young from Alabama, and Caleb Williams from USC. Those are the shortest odds. I believe Stroud sits somewhere in the 150 to 300
range.
He's at
plus 200 right now on FanDuel.
200 on FanDuel. Bryce Young, I think, was 300 to 500, depending on what
400 on
book
FanDuel.
you're looking at. And then Caleb Williams is somewhere in the 500 to 700 range.
600, right smack dab in the middle of all 3 of those. Good averages.
Yeah. So all QBs, all obvious and easy choices, right? So for me, Bryce Young, it offers you the best value from that perspective. I think his team will be likely the most successful, and that tends to be the person who gets voted, right? It's the best player or the quarterback on the best team, right? And so I think he is
It should not be that way, but it is.
It is that way though. Let's be realistic about it, right? From a other names to watch perspective, I have Dylan Gabriel. I've got a couple of futures on him actually. I got him around plus 3,000, plus 3,500.
What is that?
Is he still at that?
Still at 3,000. Dylan Gabriel, UCF quarterback.
3,000 on DraftKings.
He's the Oklahoma quarterback right now. He transferred from UCF with Jeff Lebby, their offensive coordinator. And so at UCF, he had back-to-back seasons, 3,500 plus yards and 30 TDs. Okay, so
wait.
Go ahead.
Okay, never mind. I was super confused for like 2 seconds there.
It happens.
Because when I just pulled up Sooners, I was like, okay, saw Caleb Williams, and I was like, okay, he transferred. He went with Lincoln Riley, but his first pictures that pull up right away, him in Sooners uniforms, not like USC stuff or anything plastered all over. So it's like, I don't think you can have 2 quarterbacks on the same team with good Heisman odds. I just don't see that happening.
So your quarterback heavy then?
I've got a couple other guys. So Jackson Smith in Jigba, Ohio State's leading receiver last year, returning this year, 95 receptions, 1,600 yards, 9 TDs. Okay, so always a good combination if you got a quarterback and a wide receiver
plus 2,500
in the same conversation. Yeah, so we're getting into those longer odds. For me, these are better value bets, right? You can put a little bit less on these and make more money and feel better about it. In my opinion, to bet CJ Stroud at plus 200 is like, it's not as much fun for me.
Do you have any liking towards? I mean, this is another quarterback, but Texas A&M, Haynes King.
I don't have a particular leaning. If I was going to pick a long shot, I would pick him at probably plus 10 or 15,000. I would guess is somewhere where he's at. He's at 6,000 right now.
Yeah,
that's not bad. But and then the last 2 guys I have are Jahmyr Gibbs, Alabama running back. He's a Georgia Tech transfer. He had 700 yards, but he's highly touted. He's kind of the last of the favorites that people talk about. And then my last one that I have is Will Anderson. I've got several bets out on him.
Let's get it. Defense.
A defensive player. Yeah.
Also, the best number there is.
He is probably going to be the best player on the best team. Yeah, right. If we're talking about it, like the best defensive player, if last year is any indication, right? So if
arguably the best player on Alabama.
So I think that he has a realistic shot to be that outside to be that defensive player.
Do you think it helps that a defensive player basically was runner-up last year? Now people are a little more cognizant of defense players with him coming in and obviously being a beast as he is? Or
yeah, I think that people are always cognizant of defensive players. I think they're always in the conversation. I think that it's just much harder to understand a defensive player's contribution, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that the stats don't always paint the picture that that some of those do, right? Because last year it was Hutchinson who was a finalist, and arguably, I don't have both of their stats in front of me, but I believe that Anderson's stats last year were technically better than Hutchinson's. Now, you could make the argument that Hutchinson had more of an impact. He drew more doubles. He was just more well-known, and so that could be why. Yeah. However, if his stats were better last year than the runner-up, to your point, he should be in the conversation this year. So
I agree. And again, being a defensive guy, they're just – I wish it would ever change. It won't. But why not have a Heisman-esque, like what is it? I can't think of the trophy for the Defensive Player of the Year.
Is it the Doak Walker Award?
That's a running back.
That's a running back?
It's
My bad.
See, I'm a defensive guy, and I don't even know it because it doesn't matter.
Is it Dick Butkus? No, that's best linebacker, right?
Yeah, I think. I don't know. I just don't know.
Oh, no. I can't even pronounce it. Bronco Nagurski.
Oh, Nagurski. Bronco Nagurski. There you go.
You guys, that doesn't, like, that's good, right? But what is that? Like, that doesn't even do much for anybody.
It's not the same.
It's also, fun fact, of the college football awards, not even, like, listed. So I have them all listed. And they don't list them by alphabetical or anything, just probably popularity, I would assume. It's like 13th or 14th. By the way, Will Anderson won it last year, clearly. But that's what I mean. Like, there's not even anything comparable.
No. I don't think so anyway.
Which is just shitty for defensive guys. But
I'm just going through this list, just trying to find, like, outside.
But I like that. But what about Bijan Robinson? Do you like him? I mean, Texas is getting some, some clout if they are undefeated or only lose a game. And thoughts?
Texas has to succeed for him to have.
Well, I mean, everyone has
a chance, right?
You have
him and Quinn Ewers are 4,000 plus 5,000.
He's plus 22 on DK.
I would take him at FanDuel then.
Absolutely.
Plus 4K.
So this is
absolutely.
That just brings us back to what we've talked about.
Smith and Jigba is a much better value at plus 5,000.
Who?
The receiver from Ohio State. Same odds, or better odds than Robinson.
I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs is better. Jahmyr Gibbs, in my eyes, is better odds than Bijan Robinson in that case too. I mean, he's going to be the running back for Alabama.
Yeah. There are I know what I'm saying. I think there are much better options on better teams. If you are really a huge Texas homer and you have to bet a Texas player,
a little sprinkle.
What is $10? Right. On that, and it gives you something to root for. Yeah. But yeah, I just don't like. I don't see I would take Spencer Sanders, Oklahoma State starting quarterback plus 8,000 over that because I think they have an outside chance to win the Big 12.
What about Bo Nix? Plus 8,000.
I don't. He's plus 10 on FanDuel. I don't love him.
FD's given some a little better odds there, huh?
I have not found a lot of success betting much of anything on DraftKings recently, to be completely honest. I like their app experience a lot.
I found my plus 10,000 guy, 100%. It's a quarterback. Don't worry.
NC State's quarterback?
No, Devin Leary is actually plus 8,000. Grayson McCall is plus 10,000. It's the Coastal Carolina quarterback.
Nice. I like it.
Bets on Coastal Carolina is going to be last year was ridiculous, and they actually performed. So there's that.
Yeah, I mean Grayson McCall
hammer the over on Coastal Carolina.
He
always.
I mean, last year he had a 73% completion percentage, 27 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. 207.6 was his quarterback rating.
Nice.
The dude, he's a freak.
For me, in that plus 10,000 category, I'm going somewhere like JJ McCarthy or Stetson Bennett or
Those are at plus 1,000. They're not there on DK.
Sean Clifford. Those are all plus 10,000 on FanDuel.
Okay, like
Clifford's
those guys
plus 12,000.
Those guys are on it's the teams with them. But
Yeah,
like,
correct. All of those teams have an outside
Yes.
shot to be successful.
Yeah.
And so if one of those, and those guys are likely to drive some of that success and be in the conversation. So if you're picking an outside favorite at that point in time, like those longer odds guys, that would be where I would go.
You know
and
what? I
also from
completely
what Sto is
forgot.
saying, bet on FanDuel for Heisman futures
Clearly.
because you're
They
getting
are
2,000 points
Yes.
on some of
Yes.
these guys.
It's-
I'm
So-
taking. So here's two guys at 10,000.
You're doing it?
no,
You doing it?
no.
Lock it in,
Locking
baby.
in? You're locking it
Not
in?
between these. If I had to bet between these two, though, you just mentioned Stetson Bennett with Georgia, right?
Yep.
JT Daniels transfers to West Virginia, and he's got the exact same odds. I'm 100% jumping on the Stetson Bennett trail with a successful Georgia team than a West Virginia team.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like, there's now, do I think JT Daniels is a talented dude? Yeah, but do I think that he is Stetson Bennett? Like, he has the same opportunity maybe as Stetson Bennett just based off their teams? No.
What does Stroud or Young have to do to not win it?
Ohio State misses the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean,
Either team misses the playoffs.
either team misses the playoffs or they win or they lose one of those significant games because those guys are supposed to be the reason their teams win
or they're
games.
hurt not playing. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's in there too. But
Yeah.
so really, it's you. Do you truly believe it's between those two?
I would like to believe it's not.
I would love to believe it's not too.
I would like to believe it's not. I think that you have to have them both in the conversation, and I think they both will be as long as their teams stay where they are in that top 5
Yeah, I mean,
range, because that means their stats are
If
driving
Ohio
that
State-
success.
if Ohio State,
Maybe.
who has the potential, they're not going to lose this first game, but potential. I mean, 2 versus 5, September 3rd, week 1, right off the bat between Notre Dame and Ohio State. Like,
As long as that game is close, then it won't.
Doesn't matter.
It's not going to affect it. As long as he is not the reason that
right,
it's
he has
close.
to,
You
like,
know what I mean?
But if he throws like 2 or 3 picks and
If it's
you know,
42-35 in double overtime and they lose, and
not
then
on
he
him.
through 3 touchdowns, it's going to help him more. You know, like it's.
oh, I agree because he's
And
probably
it
going to
won't-
throw
and
for
it-
530 yards in that
It
game.
also
Yeah.
won't hurt them in the playoffs either.
If they go to double
So-
overtime, he's throwing for 500 plus yards.
Likely.
Guys, I don't see that game being close, but that's just we'll get there.
He might throw for 500 plus yards in regulation in that game.
I just don't I don't see a route that it's not Stroud or Young healthy, performing average. I don't see it.
That makes sense.
It's tough. It's tough.
Like there's just Caleb Williams. I think he's
If-
there because of his name. But
If Clemson
then again,
if Clemson makes the
that
playoffs or wins a national title type deal, like Ugalele,
Uiagalelei.
he would have to set records. in my opinion.
He was not the reason they were winning games.
Oh,
their
I'll
defense
just-
was.
Yeah, so like
100%.
that's my thing with him is like it's I would take a Stetson Bennett or someone like that over him because I don't think that he's going to make the jumps that he
Like,
needs.
that's what I'm
to.
saying. He has to make those jumps.
Yeah.
But
even if he did though, what if he had the same stats as Stroud and Young, same record?
I think he's in the conversation. Then.
He's in the
100%.
conversation, but he's not winning it.
100%.
If Clemson's in the playoffs and everything else, I think that he and his stat lines are the same, then that's no question he's in that conversation. In my mind.
No, he's in the conversation, but I'm just saying at the end of the day, the politics at hand, Stroud and Young will win that if they are equals.
If they're all 3 equals, Stroud wins it because
He's the favorite.
well, one that yes,
You just don't go back
obviously,
to back.
But I don't.
You have to blow him out of water to go back.
Bryce
to back.
Young has to
Yeah.
have a better year than last year to win a Heisman.
I think he can do that. I
But
think
I'm
he
sa-
can.
but
I think
I'm saying
the
he has-
O-line is going to be much improved there. I
Right.
think that they're returning a lot of talent.
But I'm saying he has to have a better year than last year to win a Heisman this year. I don't think his what he did last year would win him a Heisman this year.
Maybe not.
Valid.
I just don't think that's.
Last year was, yeah.
So picks wise for this, do we want to do do we want to do locks? Do we want to do long shot? What are you boys feeling on this?
Like if I had to lock, I mean, if I had to lock, I'm locking CJ Stroud in.
I'd if I'm gonna lock one, I'd lock Dylan Gabriel.
Really?
Yeah. I like Dylan Gabriel.
Are you writing these down though, so that way we can track them? Because
I'm gonna put these in a completely separate segment from week 0. I'm gonna put them in that first rundown.
Yeah, because these are future. These are season long things. They should go there. I don't want to pick a quarterback.
I mean, I picked a quarterback, but
I
it
said
wouldn't have been my. If I was gonna pick another one, it would be Will Anderson.
I mean, that's who I want to go with.
Pick him. Bro.
I just don't think he has a shot unless Bryce Young is hurt, or he some reason throws 20 picks.
I would love to look up his stat line because I know that there was a ton of Will Anderson and Aiden Hutchinson just to compare them because I remember multiple sports talk conversations last year about how it was outrageous that Anderson was not being considered for the Heisman because his stats were better.
I'm gonna say them. Well, maybe. But I don't have like a side by side. Let's just put it that way.
Here, you look up. Who do you have
I
pulled
got
up?
Willie. Of course.
Right, I'll look up Aiden.
No question. 31, baby. Ride till I die.
Yep. Yeah.
Let's see. I didn't know he had that many sacks.
Yeah. I can't remember what it was, but
I'll
it was
let you know. But it's a lot more than I
How many was it?
13.
You'll know. Aiden's going first.
Oh, Aiden going first.
Yeah. Just go.
2021 stat line.
Yep.
33 solo tackles, 22 assists, so 55 combined, 15 TFLs, 14 sacks.
I don't have TFLs on this one, so that's weird. It's not close. 57 solos, 44 assists, total 101, 17 and a half sacks.
Yeah.
3 pass deflections. I don't even have TFLs.
He had 3 pass deflections and 2 forced fumbles. Hutchinson did.
Yeah.
This is according to Wikipedia, a very official source. But
0 forced fumbles for Willie.
But yeah, so I mean,
was ESPN, so actually,
it's to me that has to be.
Dang, that wasn't even close.
Yeah. So, but you guys got final picks.
Stoy, what's yours?
He had 31 TFLs.
I mean, you got to go with like.
I'm going. I mean, I'm going with him.
I have
31.
bets on Gabriel and him.
Let's go,
and
baby.
Bryce Young. So I like them all, but
3-1 defense.
Yeah.
There's
Classical.
if it's just like I'm an under guy. It's also I'm a defense guy. So if there's going to be a defensive player in the conversation, I'm going to pick him.
Yeah.
It's just going to be natural. Yeah. Let's go.
All right.
Let's get it. Any long shots?
What do we got
you guys want to
next?
do long shots or no? What are we at time wise?
I don't want to go long shots.
Okay.
We can
talked-
revisit it, or
We
we could.
talked about him.
We talked about them, but like that, you're pissing in the wind with plus 10,000, plus 15,000 odds.
I mean,
so
again, I
You ain't wrong.
think guys that you could even like, if a Stetson Bennett has a good year because his defense might be down a little bit, or potentially because there's unknowns with Georgia's defense. If he has a really good year, you could keep him in the conversation maybe.
yeah.
That's probably my big guy within that. I don't know. I mean, Will Shipley, he's at Utah.
No, I'm beating him.
Shipley's at Clemson.
Yeah, Shipley.
Or,
is for
sorry.
Sure Clemson.
Clemson's running back as a freshman.
And he's got decent odds.
Because he's pretty good.
I just had.
Pretty good.
He was their leading rusher. He missed 4 games last year with an ankle, or a foot, and he'll be back. He wasn't back all the way for spring ball. It's okay.
I was looking at Cameron Rising is who I was.
I don't even know.
I have no idea who that is.
Couldn't even tell you.
Exactly. But that's Utah's
You
quarterback.
probably shouldn't look at him then.
Oh, gotcha.
And he's actually plus 8,000. Like he's
Whoa.
down there with some of these other guys.
What?
Nebraska opened up as 12.
12.5 point favorites.
12. Wow. DK. Jeez.
Well, I looked at those lines like the week they came out, so it might have moved a point or a half point.
As by the way, it should. But wow,
I-
okay. We're at 12 for this week. We'll see what it is next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Guys, that's some points. Anyways, we move on. Any other future things we want to go with the bets on the Colegio?
What are some other?
I mean, conferences are probably pretty.
You got to win 10 plus
easy.
games. Let's see some.
So to me, like dark horses on the win 10 plus games would be teams like Baylor, Oklahoma State, teams that are down that list a little bit. Again, like
A&M's 155. That's a good value for you.
I'm
plus
always
155.
I'm always looking at value in picks like this, like futures. 155 is even like cutting it close for me. You know, I don't.
Coastal plus 350, 10 wins.
There you
Here we
go.
Wolfpack.
Baylor at 550. I agree. Like in a surprising, they had a good year last year. Some people thought it was a fluke, but like,
I don't think it's a fluke. I think it's a sign of what's to come. Like
I think that's
I got one for you boys. NC State over under 9.5.
over.
Over
That's
plus 160.
I had so if we want to talk about true futures, some futures that I like are Baylor to win the Big 12. I like NC State to win the ACC, and this was more just a fun shout out. I made a bet. Two of my buddies, one coaches at Fresno State and one coach at Eastern Michigan, and I bet a parlay
can say their names
to win.
You parlayed them?
I parlayed those two to win the Mountain West and the MAC. So
that's awesome.
Those are the three parlay or three, futures that I have at this point in time that I. Other things that I like from just a football perspective.
Plus 4,300 is the odds once you do that.
I don't remember what mine was. What
Eastern
I got it at.
Fresno State. I mean, Fresno State's like they're the second favorite to win that conference.
Yeah, so I got them at 47.40. I got a $25 free bet on it.
Okay.
What's Eastern's odds on that?
1,000.
Eastern is not great, but the MAC is such a toss-up anyway.
It is.
So
Maction. Maction's some
boy,
of the funnest football to watch, though.
it is a good
Hey,
time.
I'm put it out there.
Watching Buffalo in your living room was the most stressful thing on the
Ever.
planet last year.
When Nethery showed up back at Eastern, that defense changed quickly. By the way,
It did.
it really did.
They struggled a little bit when Creighton first got there, and they've gotten a little bit better.
They have. And you could see it too. The first year watching Nethery's defense there, he had to go simple. He had to pull back a lot of the reins, and just because of his scheme being a 4-2-5, it's a lot of looks, a lot of coverages, and it's pretty complex.
Yeah.
And you could tell that like he reined it down, but last season you could see a progression. So I'm excited for him up at Eastern.
Yeah. They got a chance to be pretty good.
They do, they really do. But
Did Eastern make a bowl last year?
yeah,
Last year they did.
Yes,
I
they
don't
did.
remember which one, but they did make one last year.
it was a bowl. Let's not put a name
They're
on it.
7-4 last year. Let's
They did. Texas A&M
landing tree.
over under.
Oh, they got killed by Liberty and
Yeah.
Malik Willis.
They got smoked. They got out athleted by that. I remember that.
Over under Texas A&M 9.5
I'm taking that over.
plus 190 baby. I had to throw those out there for you guys.
Yeah. No, I would take A&M. But yeah, I'm again looking for more value probably. 190 sounds better than 155. I think you had 155 for 10 wins for A&M, 190 on DK. So DK would take that one for me. I would probably make that play.
Would you? So if you go into division winners all the way on FanDuel, all the way to the right,
Yeah.
you got some, you can look at the Big Ten East,
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State's minus
State.
300 type deal.
Yeah.
But then you go to the Big Ten West, and there's
It's pretty wide
If you
open.
like Wisconsin, 170 is not bad odds there.
No.
If you like an Iowa that just won it last year, they're at 400.
Where's Nebraska?
Smack dab in the middle. They're at 350.
360 here. What is happening there? Oh, yeah, because they were the best 3-win team last year. That's right.
Everybody likes Nebraska. I mean, to your point about the 12-point favorite, everybody is very high on Nebraska coming out of this transition to a new OC and all of this stuff.
Who's their new transfer quarterback?
I get that.
Adrian Martinez
No.
excuse me. He transferred to K-State. They got I believe he was a Texas transfer.
Yeah. Is it Casey Thompson?
Yep. That's
Casey Thompson.
Yeah.
Their defense has to play the exact same, which was lights out against Ohio State and stuff.
Hang on. Almost forgot what it felt like for his right hand to feel normal. I've killed their thumb. This was October 9th of 2021.
You stopped this for you to read an article quietly.
Yeah, I did. So Nebraska's transfer quarterback hasn't played in a while because he had thumb surgery.
Yeah, October of last season's not.
Well, the first thing that popped up was like he just had it done.
Yeah, you stopped.
So I was like, well, that's why I stopped us because I'm like, okay, so their soon to be star quarterback I think has a thumb surgery. Like
short of Ohio State, even with Michigan's success last year, I think the Big Ten beyond Ohio State is pretty open, and so I think that's what gives people the hope for Nebraska to be better. But I don't see it. I don't know who's going to be successful there if Frost can't be. That's, I guess, my biggest thought or question mark is like
the issue's been
who's going to be successful if Frost can't. I think he's going into year 5.
I don't. No.
4.
He's been there.
I don't think it's 5. I think it's 4. Anyway,
they were the 2017 national champs at what's it called?
UCF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They declared themselves such.
Hey, I would have too.
He's been at Nebraska. He's going into year 5.
Oh wow. First of all undefeated teams should be in the playoffs.
He's 15-29.
It's not good.
But he inherited some doo-doo. Nebraska's problem is if Frost can't fix it, which he needs more time than 5 years, is because they fundamentally went away from what Nebraska was good at, and that is homegrown talent. Their rosters have not had homegrown talent. That talent has left a lot of different places when Callahan came in, and they haven't got back to that depth of homegrown talent from red shirts, from just in general. They went super Cali, super Texas heavy, and lost a lot of that. Whereas like
was Callahan between Pelini and Frost? Is that right?
No, Callahan was before.
He was before.
He went Osborne.
Pelini.
I always miss the guy in the middle. He went to Buffalo.
Don't know that one.
Buffalo's head coach, and then it went to Callahan. Then it went to, I think, Bo was after him.
I mean, I think it was outrageous. They fired Pelini. They fired Pelini, won 9 games, and they fired him.
So the rumblings of that was there was something behind.
It was Callahan, Pelini,
yeah,
and then Barney Cotton and Mike Riley.
I think Cotton was interim though, wasn't he?
He was.
Frank Solich, who went to
Solich is Ohio.
Ohio, sorry, my bad.
Yeah, he's at Ohio.
So he was a Big 12.
But anyways, that's what's the problem with Nebraska. And really, of anyone left that's really alive, Frost is the only one who can turn that around. From that standpoint.
I mean, I recruited in the Omaha and Lincoln area. I think that they do a reasonable job of scouting talent and taking the in-state kids.
Since Frost came.
Yeah.
That's been the turnaround. That's why.
Gotcha.
But before that, it's been a couple decades. And that's what's ruined a lot of it.
Yeah.
But now... That's why I said he needs more than a 5th year, which he fired a lot of people this year.
He did.
Clearly all in on this season. But what does that trigger? In Nebraska, Nebraska football has to win championships. That's it. There is no 10 games winning. Clearly 9 doesn't get you to stay around. What do you guys believe that number is for Scott to stay around for the next year?
I mean, I think he's got to win 8 games.
Yeah, he's got to be in the 8-9-ish range. Absolutely.
I think.
I just don't know what his contract looks like.
He just
they
cut it.
just renegotiated it,
Yeah.
so basically they could fire him more easily.
Correct, and he accepted. He's
I
betting
think
on
the
himself.
alternative was him leaving.
Yeah,
Reduce $5 million.
it
to
was a
$4 million.
It was a forced issue. He also fired his OC. He fired like 2 or 3 other coaches.
Yeah, he fired a lot of people, and so I think that I don't know how to feel about them overall.
I have no idea.
I think to your point,
Prove
they
it.
need more time. But
So he gave them a reduced buyout if they fire him after this year.
Yeah, so they could fire him.
yes,
He bet on himself this season, which
it's the same thing that Harbaugh did at Michigan, and
that's
then he went and made the playoffs.
I was going to say, that's a rallying cry for a team, though, too. If they really, truly love that coach,
it can be, yeah.
it could be a motivational thing. At least get them through, preseason workouts really hard. Once you get to season, things change,
Yeah, for sure.
especially if your quarterback throws picks.
What do we got coming at us hot?
I love it. We got a little 2-minute breaker, and we'll
Okay.
get into NFL. Little NFL action, then we'll get into our big parlay.
Nice. Yeah, I was gonna say this setup seems more dangerous.
But a lot easier to control.
Yeah. Why does it? Okay, there it is. I couldn't hear the echo, and then all of a sudden
Thought it went away?
talk again. I was like,
Yeah,
hey,
joke's on you.
yeah, it's
not
still
going
there.
away.
It's still here.
They also all stay up until, or they all stay out, and so they work until like 6 or 7 o'clock at night and
Go out,
do all kinds of
drink, come back.
They just
That sounds hurtful.
yeah, but I don't do any of that. So
I can imagine.
You're a grown damn man with a child. That would not work well.
yeah,
All right, so back into it. NFL Coaches Corner. Got a couple different ways that we can take this. We can
yeah.
maybe
Just
some
call.
big
Just talk
preseason
about a
takeaways
promo that I.
and the
Or do you
promos.
want to do that?
No, that'll be in the picks.
Oh, that'll be
The
in the
promos
picks.
will be in the picks. So like
Okay.
preseason, big takeaways from the preseason.
Falcons better than the Lions is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have like huge takeaways overall. I watched the.
Let's start with your, since Ryan wasn't here when we finished, why don't we do your in and out of the playoffs?
Okay. All right.
Oh yeah.
So we'll circle back to our preseason picks. My out and my in. First, I'll start with the out. Pittsburgh. It's going to look very similar to some of these other guys.
As it should.
Pittsburgh, Tennessee, New England, Arizona, San Francisco. My in, however, has some similarities, but
NFC got interesting.
NFC gets really interesting. We don't have any locks for our outs in the NFC, and probably my
Which tracks from when we talked about it earlier, but Steve and Cole and I talked about it. It's not really parity, but the weakness of the NFC throws a lot of unknowns out there. So
Right.
It's very. I mean, that tracks to the fact that we don't have any goon lock outs because what's going to happen?
Yeah, I think also looking at it from a standpoint of like, so for example, like Arizona, San Francisco, Los Angeles Rams, you look at it from the NFC West perspective. In the past has been crazy good, and now you have a little bit of unknowns when you have a Trey Lance as a quarterback, you have Kyler Murray with less. I don't even know what to think of his situation and him.
They just
right
don't
now.
have a second half punch.
Right.
And that's like, that goes back with Kingsbury.
Yeah.
Like his Kingsbury team start hot and they don't finish. And so,
Texas Tech Raiders, baby.
yeah. So I don't know that that's going to change. And Kyler Murray just gets hurt.
Right.
Like,
They have a healthy J.J. Watt. That's about the only thing they got going for him. Kyler Murray nope. He won't finish the season.
Yeah. So my teams that are in, I'll start with the AFC just because I think the NFC is a little bit more interesting for me. AFC. So I have Buffalo, Kansas City, Cincinnati, who are locks that we have. And then I have the Chargers. I have the Raiders. I have the Colts. And I have the Ravens.
nice.
Which
Finesse.
so 3 teams from the West, right? Kansas City, Chargers. Nope. I did have that. No, there is 3 teams from the West. I'm
What
looking
is
at this. I'm
happening
getting
right
so
now?
confused.
Yes, you have Chargers, Chiefs.
Yeah, Raiders. Yes.
you.
Yeet.
The East is just Buffalo, and then there's the rest of the teams. I don't think the Dolphins are a bad team, but I don't know that for me, they're not good enough to make the playoffs.
I mean, I could see them not doing it, but they're doing it.
And then I think the Colts are
Colts
they're
winning the
improved.
Super Bowl. The Colts are winning the Super Bowl.
They're winning the South.
The Super Bowl.
Stop with your Matt Ryan homer talk.
I think they win the South.
I'm just saying they're lined up to do it.
And then the Ravens looking healthier than they've ever been.
What are the
I think
odds
we
on
looked
that?
at it. It was like a 11 cap 12 win season almost for them, and that was with like splits and going 1-1 against a lot of their divisional opponents. They just have a weaker schedule. That the NFC or the AFC West is good teams with a little bit weaker of an off conference schedule.
Yeah.
So then we jump to the NFC.
This is crazy.
This does get interesting for me. I got the Rams and Tampa Bay, two teams that we all obviously like. And then I'll jump to the East, where I have Dallas and Philadelphia. I think getting Jalen Hurts a bunch of weapons, I think that offense has a ton of firepower, and they're going to get back to the playoffs. Dallas, I think it's going to be between those two to see who wins the East. But I think Dallas is still a very, very good team. Their defense is really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I jump, and I have three teams from the North making it. I have Minnesota.
You're a homer.
Well, I have Minnesota. I just don't know who else is going to do it. That's the thing.
There's really no one in the South.
So I have Green Bay, Minnesota, and Detroit.
I just like Detroit's schedule. I mean, we looked at it.
Exactly, and I think that's the reason that I like them.
They can fairly win 10 games.
Is the fact it's the schedule.
Yeah.
If you look at just strict schedules, when I was looking at it, the Lions just have a really, really good shot, because I think even if they go and they beat the Bears twice and they split with Minnesota and they lose twice and they go 500 in the division, I mean, there's still 7 to 8 winnable games that they have outside of their division.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's mine. So Rams, Bucks, Vikings, Cowboys, Eagles, Packers, Lions, and NFC, AFC, Chargers, Buffalo, Chiefs, Bengals, Raiders, Colts, Ravens.
So you have 2 3-team divisions.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I dig it. I picked the Lions, but not the Vikings. Sorry.
What is your reasoning for liking both of the? Because I personally think talent-wise,
in third, yeah.
I think talent-wise and expectations, based off of off-season moves, I think the Vikings have the best overall team.
The Vikings have the best. Oh,
like if you're looking straight talent-wise, everything like that, depth-wise, I think the Vikings are the most talented team in the North.
Maybe.
So
I think Aaron Rodgers is just a significant difference.
I don't disagree there.
And I think that it's enough of a difference that he overcomes a lot of shortcomings, especially in the regular season. He hasn't proven it over and over again in the playoffs, but I think in the regular season, the dude is just really good.
Is it possible with the weakness of the NFC and the NFC North schedule that all 4 can make it?
No. I think the Bears are a 6-win team.
I think the Bears. I didn't take the bet,
team.
but I should. Like, there was a lot of people. I think FanDuel had a
Bears
prop
being the
for
number
the
1 pick.
Bears to be the worst team in the NFL.
So the Bears to be the number 1 pick.
Yeah, and so I think it was plus 1,000 the day that Roquan requested a trade, and I should have taken that. Yeah, I think that they will, or they should be the worst team. I don't know who would be worse.
The Jets, if they are with Joe Flacco without 4.
Although Flacco's apparently was outperforming.
They call somebody. I heard somebody call him January Flacco because they're like, he's January Flacco because he sucks in the regular season. He's just mediocre.
I think that he could game manage them to a reasonable level of success as long as their defense is well coached. I don't think he's going to do anything to win them any games. I think he just will not do things to lose them games.
This is kind of weird to say.
That's who he is.
This is kind of weird, but when you have a defensive-minded head coach like the Jets do, it's almost as though like maybe Joe Flacco fits the system maybe a little bit better as a game manager, that kind of stuff, than Zach Wilson, who you expect to make a ton of plays and be that playmaker.
Zach Wilson's just not.
I don't know what they expect. I don't think anybody has any expectations. Well, they have expectations around Zach Wilson, but I don't know that if they're really setting him up to, and with those expectations internally, I know that externally they have a lot of expectations for him, but internally, if they're setting him up and saying, Zach, you got to be this guy, and putting a ton of pressure on him internally, I think it's a bad plan because he hasn't proven that he can do anything.
So a guy like that, realistically, a guy like that is supposed to be this, and he did some of that in the past of playmaking, but he also had arguably one of the best defenses in modern times. Russell Wilson, he was a game manager when he was winning Super Bowls and going to the Super Bowls. His defense was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And did he have times where he was flashing it and making some plays? Yes. Was he also, touchdowns and yards and stuff like that? Was he also hucking the football? Absolutely. But I think it opens it up and it leaves you a little bit more flexibility when you have a defense like that.
Did you just compare the vaunted defense of the Seahawks to the Swiss cheese of the Jets?
No.
He's just saying with a defensive-minded coach, like could there be something similar happen?
No, I was not comparing those two. What I'm comparing is when Russell Wilson got put into a perspective where all he had to do was make plays, it was up to him to win them the games and do this. He didn't go back to the Super Bowl. He didn't do those things because he had a defense in his back pocket that was incredible.
I think that was an internal decision. Like that's what I think it was. Schottenheimer was the OC at the time, and so I think that the philosophy of that team, maybe it wasn't Schottenheimer. I don't remember.
All I know is they had beast mode in the defense.
But I think that was the internal decision, and I think that was part of why Russell Wilson ended unhappy in Seattle was because he didn't feel like he was being utilized to his fullest extent.
We're about to find out.
Yeah,
the Broncos have nothing to like they can't hold him back. They need him.
They need him. They paid him enough.
Yeah,
or paid so much for him,
which
as
is
well. So
really good for our boy, Eric Saubert.
Yeah,
got a great article.
Yeah, he did have a good write up.
Talk about that as the news, but we tweeted that. That's good. That's a solid write up.
Yeah, I think that
he also had a good connection with Teddy with Bridgewater too. So he clearly, the quarterbacks like him.
He works extremely hard.
For accurate quarterbacks that don't have absolute piss missiles on their arms, very, very good route running, pass catching, like a good possessional catching tight end is your favorite.
I'm just glad that in the article they said that they're utilizing him correctly for the first time.
Like Teddy Bridgewater.
I've been saying that his entire career. Like no one's utilized him to what I believe is his full potential. But I'm glad he grinded out and is where he's at because his blocking has changed and he's a solid blocker now. Plus, he's never lost his receiving threat. He's just never been put in that position. Mm-hmm. So we'll see.
I don't know him as well, and I didn't get to read into that article. If
he's my boy,
who's like a
more
well-known tight end that he's got comparable like tangibles to.
Currently, I would put him as like a.
I have one guy in mind,
like a George Kittle type of guy. I don't think he's as good as George Kittle from a true talent perspective, but like he catches the ball well, he has good speed, good athleticism, and he blocks well. I think that Kittle would do each of those things better, but also he's
TJ Hawkinson.
So.
No.
I don't know enough of TJ Hawk. I know he's an Iowa tight end, and those guys are generally talented, but I don't. He has had some great games.
I truly just want to know more about this guy. I mean, like you said, they're finally using him and utilizing him to his abilities. So it's like
in college, he had a lot of ball skills, and he is a legit 6.050 guy, and ran a 4.7.
Can you explain what 6.050 guy means to
6'5"? Sorry, the NFL operates in a weird height or weird measuring standard where it's 6'0" or it's 5'011. Like it's 5'0" or 5'11", and then they operate. The last digit is fractional. So like I think half would be 4. It's in eighths, I believe. Yeah. So it's a very strange one.
But really cool insight there. So most people don't know that shit.
So Noah Fant's an athletic.
Noah Fant's less of a blocker. I would compare Fant more to like Travis Kelce.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where it's like he's listed as a tight end, but you are using him more like a slot receiver.
So like a Waller. But Waller's
I don't
just a
know
freak.
Waller's.
Waller's a wide receiver.
I don't know Waller's
tight end's
tape that
body.
well. I know that, like, from a fantasy perspective, he produces when he's healthy.
Kittle's probably I'm thinking through all the ones we're talking about. Kittle's probably the closest to.
What about like an older guy, like a Jimmy Graham?
I would take Tony Gonzalez.
I would say a Tony G.
Okay.
Like, we're comparing these fucking generational talents.
I would even say a Gronk.
But these are people
because
that's what's good
it's
about
tough
this.
because we're saying big names and it's not
Yeah.
fair to both. By the way, it's not fair to Eric to us to do that. But in terms of style, can block,
That's
can
exactly
run,
what
can
I'm
catch.
talking pure style wise. That's what I'm talking. So then, okay, a listener at home might not know Eric, doesn't know the name. So then now they have somebody that they could be like, okay, if he's gonna get some reps, maybe he's a later round pick in their fantasy or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
When he lights up the
Yeah.
league this year for 10 tutties.
Exactly, but like
come call,
he could
baby.
be like
That'd
a
be
late
sick.
right. Maybe he's if you got a deep league, it's a keeper league, and you can
Well, right now
pick him late, and
he's the
be a
number
keeper,
2
like, type of,
because their draft guys hurt.
touchdown
so
or bust, whatever. It
he's
might
the
be,
number
but-
2 right now.
Gotcha.
No, I just wanted to get like a
he's-
perspective to myself,
Yeah.
who doesn't know him, as well as everyday listener.
Like so much, I couldn't find a snap count in the preseason game. Like that's
What do you mean?
like I couldn't find Saubert's. Well, then again, I'm not on the Broncos forum, but I couldn't figure out his snap count for the preseason game this weekend.
Oh, like how many plays he got?
And where?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. All right.
But we preseason takeaways. Really, I mean, it's first week. I don't think there's much. First cuts were today, of 3.
I didn't even look.
I thought that they took away the first second. Like
The Tuesday
teams can
They
make
can.
cuts, but they're not obligated to make cuts until the final week,
Correct.
right?
Yeah,
But like this is
they don't
the
have to solidify their roster until after.
correct.
Yeah,
But
this is
teams
when it
started
starts.
to after the and that's really to trim some stuff and pick up some guys, right?
Yeah.
Well, and
That is
it's
what it
get
is.
your guys reps that you actually are like, okay, this guy has showed me enough that
You will
I'm
see
gonna get him more reps.
You will see
Yeah.
more cuts after this weekend because they want to get one more look at somebody.
right.
I would assume, or more looks.
Yeah, probably.
But
I thought one of the big things in this. So Malik Willis made a really, really good play and then got taken out.
Yeah, because he wasn't throwing the ball when
'Cause
he
he
needed
wasn't
to.
he was
throwing
holding
the
it for
ball.
like 3.8
Right.
seconds. It was an
But
absurd.
what I liked about it is like people were like, oh, Malik Willis is doing things with his legs that he was doing in college and doing all these things, yada yada yada. It's like he is. You're right, but at the same time, that stuff gets quarterbacks hurt in the NFL.
The biggest difference that I saw watching the limited amount of preseason that I did was if you compare watching a standard NFL Week 6, decent starting quarterback like a Baker Mayfield type caliber type dude, compared to these guys that are playing quarterback, I don't think there were any true starters playing besides maybe a Mayfield or somebody that's in a competition. But like I
Mariota
watched.
started
Okay. Mariota started. Daniel Jones played. Like there are guys that
you're right.
are in new systems and stuff like that. But like any established guy, like Brady's not even with his team right now.
Yeah, that's
You
a
know?
different
Kenny
conversation. I can't
Pickett-
wait for more news to come
Kenny
out about
Pickett,
that.
Mason Rudolph,
That's a competition.
right?
Yeah.
But like Kenny Pickett had a really good preseason game.
Yeah. But my point is you watch those guys compared to the guys that start on a consistent basis. The biggest difference to me is the amount of time it takes those guys to make a decision. And so I was watching Logan Webb, or even Hoyer is pretty decent, but like some of those guys for the Patriots, and they take what feels like hours comparatively to make decisions. And I think that was, a big takeaway that like, I mean, we'd normally be in camp right now, so I watch hardly any preseason football.
Is it different? Is it? Have you done much preseason football because of that?
No, I'm just not accustomed to being with
Able
it
to.
at all. Like I think I bet one promo on like it was Giants and somebody else to win. And so like I watched the Giants Patriots game, which was sick because they won it on a field goal at the last second.
There's been some really good games by the way. There's been some cool finishes.
But they're cool finishes because they're playing trash guys, like, so they're leaving the door open for these people and it's about getting evaluation. So I get that, but yeah, so it's that to me has been a huge takeaway though, is like the amount of time it takes and the amount of processing that some of these lesser quarterbacks are doing to make the same decisions that Tom Brady makes in 1.8 seconds or whatever he is on his average release time. It's absurd. So
I want to know decision time, and we talk a lot about baseball on here too, like decision time between like a fastball. You have to make a decision whether you're going to swing in, boom, split seconds. And then at the same time, transfer that somehow to football to going through your reads. Like, okay, no, okay, I can make a decision and get rid of it.
To me, there's no comparison. To be completely honest, I think the most difficult thing in sports is to hit a baseball, especially off a major league pitcher. And so I love football, but from a pure skill perspective, to recognize a pitch out of a pitcher's hand and make the decision I believe it's something like you have to decide in 0.35 seconds or something like that, and physically do it in like under 0.7 seconds or something. And so like that to me is one of the most difficult things, or the most difficult thing in sports from a physical perspective. Now there are technical things like golf swings and things like that are also very difficult, but I think that hitting a baseball is one of the most difficult things. I don't think it compares from a purely physical standpoint. From a mental standpoint, I think there's so much more to it than for a quarterback to make the decision, because there are so many outside factors. I think that hitting a baseball is more repetition based, and I think that there's a mental speed to quarterbacks play that certain guys have and certain guys don't.
Right.
And I think that's where you see the difference.
That's more what I'm seeing is like, because in a baseball swing, it's okay, let's not change. And you see it more and more now where less and less guys are, 2 strikes. The big thing was crowd the plate, shorten your swing, just get your bat through the zone, try and make contact. And now guys are like, no, why would I do that? Why would I change my swing on 2 strikes? I'm just going to stand the exact same way. I'm going to take the exact same swing because that's what I'm going to do more often than not. And that goes back to your repetition thing. And quarterbacks, if you're calling that, that mesh play, whatever it might be, and you're saying, okay, yes, I'm making these exact ssame reads over and over again, but you're getting a different look from the defense. You're getting this, you're getting this, you're getting this, and you're still making that decision in 1.5, 2.2 seconds, whatever it might be. You're still making that, and you're going down your levels right away. Or maybe you only make it to your second read because, all right, your decision's there. Maybe it's your first read, and all right, he's beat his guy. Most
guys are, I think, they have to make a decision pre-snap and then immediately post-snap based on rotation. And it's for most quarterbacks, I think it's 2 reads that they make on any given play.
They probably take out. You take out basically half a field almost in the pre, and then your confirmation on your next.
Yeah, you're here, or here pre-snap. Generally speaking, right. Yep. And so what I mean is like hash to hash or hash to sideline
in between the
hashes, or hash to sideline opposite, and then there's just very few full field reads,
right?
Because it takes so much time, like. And so people talk about their progression and everything like that. And the progression is real, but the progression starts at different places based on different things, I think. And that's the part.
And that's why, like, you see these clips of receivers being wide open on this side of the field. Yeah. And it's the fact is they were never in the pre-snap read. Like the quarterback, because of the defense alignment, did not give someone a chance to beat their guy because I've got a 2-on-1 over here.
Well, and there are times where
they'll just do it.
They're just going to say, hey, Jamar Chase, I know you're better than that corner.
Beat him.
If I'm looking at you right at the snap of the ball. And if if he's pressed and you beat him, I'm throwing you the ball. Right. You better go make a play. Like that. That's a very rudimentary explanation of what they're communicating or how they're communicating. Right. But that is certainly something that is real. Especially at the high school and college level. I don't think it's as much at the pro level, just because the personnel advantage in those situations is not necessarily as much. You talk about like guys like Cooper Kupp or Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. They're designing ways to get these guys open constantly, right?
Yeah.
And they're very good and very technically sound route runners and very talented people, and so it makes it easier, but they're still scheming constantly to get these guys open because there's so much a team can do to focus on that one guy.
And it's rare that a team is going to show press man and just say, hey, Jamar Chase, come at us, right? That's rare.
At the NFL
It's
level,
the
they're
scheming.
disguising
Yes.
almost every coverage.
There's
And
that's going to roll
which is
over
where
the top or
which
whatever
is
it
what you
might be,
talked
yeah.
about formationally. Offense is trying to scheme them to get them to force that issue,
Yeah,
which
for
you
sure.
can do. But it was 2.17 seconds for Tom Brady last year.
That was his average release time.
That's fast.
Yeah, it's so fast.
And
And
means the defense has to get there in 2 seconds. First of all, that's not very easy to get around him in 2 seconds.
he has a very good offensive line as well. So like people are always like, people talk about offensive line play. I was listening to somebody talk about the Cowboys today and how their offensive line is one of the biggest question marks for their team. And, you know, you gave Dak, they were talking about Dak got the bag and Dak's got to overcome that. Aaron Rodgers overcomes that. Russell Wilson overcomes that. Pat Mahomes overcomes that. You know, like those guys, you know, they don't always have terrible offensive lines, but they have each had less than offensive lines at times, and they make it happen. Tom Brady's another one that, like, at times with the Patriots, it wasn't great. When Scarnecchia went away for a couple years, it was not great, and they still had success. You know, so, like, they come back and they make the difference for those guys.
Tell you what, the beginning of the year though, when you had the Chiefs had a terrible Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes running around everywhere. And in the beginning of last year, where their line was just like kind of lackluster, and Mahomes was still running around. Yes, they overcame it. They made the playoffs. They made their deep, you know.
Yeah.
But they did not look like the Chiefs.
Mahomes
100%.
still backpedals from that.
That's what I'm saying, though.
Like
is
it
like
changed who he is.
those guys, but they still
But
were
they still
able to
overcame it.
overcome
Right.
it. It wasn't as pretty, you know, but they
Got it
still
done.
were able to overcome it. I mean, the Bengals' offensive line was not great last year, and that got exposed, but they made it to the Super Bowl. You know, so you have those guys that have the ability to overcome it. You know,
Joe.
there are some, there's also some notion that the coaching, you know, they're able to scheme and plan around some of that if they know that it's a less than situation.
Naturally.
We
All
wanna
right.
move on to
Yes.
what are we?
We're on picks, baby. Let's get our preseason picks, couple
Okay.
futures in the NFL, and then a short break
even
before we
sure
get into some parlay.
Yeah, I wasn't even sure what preseason games we wanted to
You guys, there's
talk
not
about
very
this
many
week.
good ones.
Why don't we have week 0 coming up next week? Let's
Yeah,
just
that's true.
pause until week 0 of college, so then we're
Fair.
picking with teams actually trying to win.
Yeah, that's true.
That's fair. So let's talk about some futures picks.
Any faves you got out there already, Steve?
NFL futures.
Oh yeah.
So I just placed one the other day for Joey Bosa to win Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay.
Kind of a random one, I know. But again, from a value perspective, it felt like it was a good play. Plus 2,500 for him to be the NFL Defensive Player of the Year on FanDuel. Any of these star pass rushers feel like they can pop in that role at any point in time, you know, and he's in a contract year. And so that was why I thought that he might be a good pick in that regard. I believe is he in a contract year or his brother? I thought he was in a contract year, but either way, I think that he's a good value pick, good value play from that perspective. Super Bowl, I've said it on here, I think every episode, but I'm a Bucks to the Super Bowl. FanDuel has a promo right now. Bet $50 cash on a team to win the Super Bowl, and every week that they win, they'll pay you $5 for in free bets throughout the season, up to $50. Yeah, they'll pay you out each week. It's not one sum total at the end of the season. So that, similar to the baseball promo that we talked about earlier in the year, or a few weeks ago, you can essentially, if you pick a 10-win team, you can end up with a free $50 future on a team to win the Super Bowl at generally, I think the Bills are the favorites at plus 300 overall. Is that accurate?
I'll double check while he's looking through it.
And so, to me, anytime you get a chance to bet something that at those type of odds for free is a good decision.
Yes, that is a good decision.
Who's the favorite
for a Super Bowl?
It's getting there.
The Bills are at 600, plus 600.
Well, the Bills are at plus 600. So that would, right now, I may pick them from a promo perspective, just because of that value on the Bills.
So sorry, the reason I wasn't fully engaged, I was paying
Why wouldn't you
attention
pick
to
your Bucks at 750?
Because I have them with like 3 other free bets.
Okay, so there's look, scratching yourself a little bit.
Yeah,
I think one of my favorite
spreading the love.
Spread the love.
I think one of my favorites might be Offensive Rookie of the Year, and I think it's because they're going to utilize this guy in a similar way that they utilized a very fast person who moved on from their team. I think Sky Moore at plus 1,000 is a really, really good value for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I like Sky Moore. I actually have a boost with him on Caesars with, I believe it's for him to have over 700 yards receiving and Central Michigan to win the MAC at like plus 1,100 or something like that. I put a cash wager on that. I was so excited about Sky Moore.
That's awesome.
But I think that's something that I think you're absolutely right. He's a guy, I think his receiving total is at 680, or it was a few weeks ago when I looked at it. And I think that wouldn't be a terrible thing to pick him to be over 680 yards receiving. I think that'd probably be somewhere in the plus 110 range. Another good NFL future would be comeback player of the year, Chase Young, coming off of an injury last year. I think that he's got a chance again, just with how pertinent pass rushers become in those conversations. I think that's always a safe place to look from an NFL awards perspective. People are going to look at, I can't remember who's up in front of him. I'm trying to look it up right meow.
Oh, this is kind of cool. I mean,
Derrick
maybe
Henry
not for
plus
you.
400, Winston plus 500, McCaffrey 800, Mayfield 1,200.
So I think that Derrick Henry, I don't know.
It's hard because he was still incredible.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, how is he the comeback player of the year? And then Jameis, I liked it. I think the Saints will have a reasonable amount of success, but I don't think he's going to be successful enough as a quarterback from a statistical perspective to make that leap. I think Christian McCaffrey will get injured again, unfortunately. And I think that the Panthers will be so bad that Baker, even if he is the starting quarterback, will not.
I think a highlight for the Panthers is going to be DJ Moore. I think he has a good year because he's going to be like their main weapon.
Yeah, I like that.
Unless you're on the train of that Baker doesn't do well with main weapons.
I don't know.
Just saying.
I think that OBJ gets too much credit in that relationship. Undue. I assume that's who you're referencing.
Or
Jarvis Landry.
I think that they're forcing the ball to OBJ, and that's why, at a certain point in time, and that's why Jarvis didn't get, because when OBJ was out, Jarvis was good. He wasn't what he was before, but he athletically is not what he was before. So,
who are the Saints wide receivers?
That matter.
Michael Thomas.
If he plays.
Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, Chris Olave. So this is maybe a bad thing to look at, but this guy also has slung the ball and thrown for a lot of yards in his career. Had a 5,000-yard season, plus 3,000 odds for Jameis Winston to have the most passing yards.
No, get out of here.
I'm not a fan of it personally.
Not even close.
But if Sean Payton was there, maybe. But even when Payton was coordinating with Jameis, they were not like the prolific Saints offense. They haven't been that. They've been
So the reason that I even consider that in looking from this perspective is pending Alvin Kamara and his investigation. So Kamara,
yeah.
Michael Thomas, Landry, Olave.
Yeah.
You got a receiving back. You got three Chris Olave still, we'll see. Landry has been very good in the past. Michael Thomas has been very good in the past. And if they go, 4 wide with, splitting Kamara out, Marquez Callaway had some highlights last year as well.
Yeah.
You have a lot of weapons for Winston to throw to. Now we'll see if he comes back and throws for 5,000. But that's just so if you scroll down and you see that 3,000, it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of a glaring number for a guy that's had 5,000-yard seasons.
Yeah, that's not bad. I'll give you value on that. I don't know if I believe it's going to happen, but I'll give you that there's a possible value add there.
I think maybe the worst value in here, like I just don't like it at all, is Dak Prescott at 1,100 being above some of these guys. Like I don't.
People really like Dak. The Dak is very highly regarded.
It's because it's the damn Cowboys.
Yeah, and
It's nothing to do with Dak.
There's an element of the book setting lines, and then there's an element of the public money, and so you have to take some of that into account. And so,
Well, you said it earlier. A lot of it's marketing.
it is. I mean, I'm sure I didn't follow it as closely as I should have, but I'm sure that there was a swing on Lions bets when Hard Knocks came out and stuff like that. So,
I do actually like. I mean, Stafford's high and Herbert's the favorite, but like, I don't like Herbert necessarily as a favorite. Stafford being a favorite though, like, he's got the weapons to do it. He had Cooper Kupp with a record-setting year. Do I think Cooper Kupp regresses from that year? Yeah, it's hard to not.
yeah.
But I don't know. These are some fun ones though. Like looking at those player props. Let's see.
The fun part to me about props like this is you can bet 20 of them, and if you hit one, you're flush. Yeah. Like not just covering what you hit, but you're crushing. So
Absolutely. Well, while we dig into some bets, let's do a quick break, and then let's get into a big parlay. Our first ever big parlay
nice.
For
for season 2.
It's like you can't parlay. I found that you can't parlay totals. Yeah, parlay. Parlay. I don't know. Parlay Heisman winners with other schools. You can do playoffs. You can do to make the playoffs. You can do division winners. You can do conference. Can you do NFL college combined?
Unless you can add more shit to it that are locks. Can you add conference champs to it? Because no, probably not. Because
I think it's one or the other.
that would make sense.
Like you can do all the conference champs, or you can do all of the make the playoffs.
So I'm gonna put this into.
Do we have any? No, we don't. Never mind. I was thinking college. Kalehiha division champs, conference champs.
Can't.
Yeah, you can parlay conference champs if you want to.
Across the board.
I did that. Anytime a free bet is like $10 or less, it's just like I'm gonna take a shot on something absurd and hope for the best.
So let's see. So our goon locks, we have Indy, Ravens, Bills, Chiefs, Kansas City, Vegas, Cincy, Rams, Bucks,
Bills,
5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 9
Green Bay,
teams.
Rams.
And you can do up to 8.
Up to 8. So in this sense, do you take away like?
We'll vote on which one to remove. What are the teams again?
So it is the Colts, the Ravens, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Raiders, the Bengals, the Rams, the Bucks, the Packers. So Rams.
I'd take
Bucks.
the Raiders out of that for me personally.
I tend to agree.
The Raiders.
Just because of
Well, they're the best. They have the
Lowest odds.
The lowest
They
odds.
do.
Changes the game a little bit.
Colts, Ravens, Bengals. I mean, I'm at plus 1,281 with taking those guys out. And let's say we took out the Ravens, I guess. I don't know. I don't like to take that one out, but say we did.
Why are you taking that out?
he's just experimenting to see what it gets us from
We're
an
at
odds perspective.
21.72.
That's a significant bump.
Yeah.
It's a little 900 pointer.
That's
What are we betting on this? What are the
So $10 wins you 128.
what the hell was the rule last year?
So-
$5 each.
Yeah. So
That's what we did.
should we put
So
20 on it?
We do 20s.
20 to win 256.
I'm a fan. Let's do it.
Send it.
That's at
Bet.
1281.
Send us a Venmo
What's
request.
your look at DraftKings
DraftKings.
if you can do it though, because if you can get better odds there, then we might as well.
Yeah,
do it
yeah.
there.
Go pick another one, Steve.
What do you want me to do?
Find
So
another sports
try and
book
do this
to try to
exact
do the
same
same.
thing on different sports books, so
Oh.
then we can get the best odds.
You know,
Gotcha.
do what the intelligent thing is to do.
Yeah, shop your lines, folks.
Shop your lines. All right. NFL football.
You're on DK, you said?
I'm on FanDuel.
I'm
He's
on
on
DK.
DraftKings.
Okay. Well, there's
You got your BetMGM.
I've got BetMGM, Caesars, Betfred, BetRivers,
Name it. I
DRF,
have it.
Elite.
Which one have you had
Points
the
bet.
best odds with in the past?
Odds wise, consistently FanDuel I think has the. I'll check Barstool on this. It feels like something a Barstool might have.
That's
Decent.
true. I
odds
feel like a
on.
Barstool futures parlay is like, okay, yes, this is their bread and butter.
DK doesn't have.
I was gonna say, so that is one thing that I actually really like about FanDuel is that they have odds on more stuff than anyone else does. And so it may be something where FanDuel is the only place that we can get to make the playoffs. That's it. This, like I said, this feels like something that
There's playoff parlay that they've built
Barstool
out.
would have.
That they've already built out.
Yeah.
Is there any that are like
Plus 100,000 Texans, Falcons, Jets, all to make the playoff.
what's something that's around this?
Why not throw 10 cents on that? Around
1281.
1,400. No, this is what? Pack, Vikings, Bears.
To
At
all make it?
You can
1,400.
only bet the pre-made to make the playoff one.
That's what I'm
It's really weird that they
finding.
would not have.
And there's these are bad and not very high. Here's an actually I'm gonna go up in odds a little bit. Plus 600. Cowboys, Eagles, Commanders. No, thank you.
Why is it divisional? Like, that's silly.
That's their
It's their preloaded
I know,
stuff.
but that's silly. I mean,
it's not.
that's not even the 3 teams in the North that I would pick.
Can I go do I have to do this individually? No, they only have team specials.
You can parlay on.
Can't do it.
I don't see to make the playoffs on.
Which one you want?
Barstool.
You see division winners.
But you can pick division winners and
PointsBet
conference
might have
winners.
it. Looks like we're stuck with the old FanDuel.
If that's what
fine.
we
I just
want
wanna
to do,
I just want to
yeah.
shop it out.
I mean, we could pick them all to win the division if we wanted to do that.
I don't think we have a lock on that.
No.
No, I mean, Bills would be our lock.
Indy, Bills, Rams, Tampa Bay, Green Bay.
I would not say Green Bay is a lock.
No, but I'm saying that's what,
Homer.
like, based upon those things.
You a homer?
Less about being a homer, more about
I'm just messing with you, man.
more
You're
about the NFC North is a little bit more wide open than years past. Like, if you would have done it last year or 2 years ago, I'd have been like, yeah, absolutely, I'm taking Green Bay.
Yeah.
No, I want NFL. Like, give me.
So if I pick Buffalo, Indianapolis, do we like anyone for sure in the AFC West? Do we like the Chiefs to come out on top of that one?
I don't know that I like anybody for sure.
I can't say that.
What about the AFC North? Do we like the Ravens for sure to come out on top of that, or no?
No.
Anybody in the NFC East, Cowboys or Eagles?
I like the Eagles.
I like the Eagles as well, but
Cole would probably say no.
I think he's picked them not to win the division, but to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think he actually.
Dallas?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, he took out
FanDuel's the only one.
the Eagles. Eagles were one of his teams that are out. Dallas is his
gotcha.
team in.
Okay. So that's a no. Rams? Do you like the Rams to win
Yes.
the NFC West?
We can do that. Tampa
And,
Bay.
and then Bucks to win the South?
That's if they don't, something happened to Tom Brady.
So those 4 picks, the Bucks, the Rams, the Colts, and the Bills, get us to plus 726 on there. So
Like
I think
our futures is going playoffs.
our best deal is FanDuel.
Yeah. All right.
Let's do it.
So, you want to do the rundown of that? We'll post it. Obviously, we'll do screenshots.
Yes, I will pull it back. I don't know why my phone's freezing up, but okay. So our big parlay is for teams to make the playoffs on FanDuel. Odds on Tuesday, August 16th. We have a combined 8 teams. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Buffalo Bills, the Green Bay Packers, the Los Angeles Rams, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Indianapolis Colts, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Cincinnati Bengals. Those 8 teams give us plus 1,281 odds. Our $20 wager, $5 a piece, gives us a chance to win $256.21.
Nice.
Which half goes to charity and half goes to making sure that this show can continue.
So I'm going to...
For those keeping track at home. And we'll be doing one every week, starting with week 0 of Colegio football. That is.
Are we good to wrap?
We are good to wrap.
Good to wrap up.
All right.
So as always, everybody,
It's placed.
you already placed it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was about to as well. I still might, but
Let's go.
Let's go.
So as always, everybody, like, subscribe, follow, share. We appreciate you guys. If you got some qualms, what, I'm not sure. Is it qualms? Qualms with our make the playoff picks. Let us know. Maybe we'll have to make an adjustment. Not. We won't do that because these are goon locks. But anyways, if you got any qualms with what our picks are, talk smack to us.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe, follow, share. We appreciate you guys. Till next week. Week 0, baby.
Goon.